hear about it, find out about it, and so I don't know. It doesn't. I think it makes it easier to, I don't know, to inspire them and to them think what they can do. Yeah. No, I don't think much of that stuff helps with the client side of it, though. That's just, like I said, it's another skill set, and it's just by doing time with clients, I think, that you get that ability to manage that other side of things. You've got the environment sorted, and then it's about. I think all of the client time I've had has helped with that in other environments, just dealing with people and anticipating their shortcomings and knowing how to use people in terms of the leadership and that sort of thing within a group, and all of those sort of instructing tricks are very good, but it's just a matter of morphing that to, that's the environment.
Okay. Yeah. So if you were, for example, to describe to me a day that would be sort of the perfect for optimal learning for a group you were taking out, what sort of things might you encounter through the day? How would that day look if you want a group that you're with, of paddlers to really come away having developed and learnt, and that can be technical, tactical, decision making, everything. How would that day look?
It'll be a day where the conditions are quite challenging for the clients. They feel like they've had an adventure, basically, and they've used their wit and their wile to get from A to B and to, sort of craft this sort of route from one place to another, given the conditions. And those sort of days, people invariably end with a smile on their face, lots of chatter around the camp, and and so while I might feel quite comfortable with the conditions, for them it's been a peak adventure.
Okay, so you mentioned that in terms of it being challenging for clients. Why is that so important? What does that bring?
I think it's because it's the contrast factor to our general lives, where we aren't particularly challenged very much at all. And I just don't think that's the way we're meant to be as humans. We've evolved over millennia to survive in hostile conditions and to have things chasing us and outsmart the environment and all of that, and to use our brains and our capacities. And I just think we tap into a bit of that in us when we have an adventure. We just feel alive. I think that's what we're tapping into. It's something ancient.
Great, I like it. So what we're going to do is bring you back a little bit towards the idea of decision making. So you mentioned whether that is with clients or personally. Throughout your career, how do you think that you've most effectively developed that? What sort of, if we were to identify certain sort of characteristics of experiences in which you've improved your decision making, what would they be? Or are they even possible to categorise?
Yeah. Say that one again.
I'm just trying to look into I try to identify if you were to go out and either for yourself or for clients try and create an environment in which people are going to be able to develop their decision making skills. what sort of things would you need to encounter for that to happen? Or within your career, what sort of moments have you had where you have believed that you've most effectively developed your ability to make decisions?
Yeah, so it's the same thing, I suppose. It's those days where you actually have to make decisions to get through the day safely. There's a lot of days sea kayaking. They're flat, bird days. You can actually just tell the clients to paddle down there a couple of k's and I'll see you there in an hour, and it's nothing to manage. So you don't learn much from those days. But the days where you actually have to make decisions around the group, the days when you have things go wrong, like someone getting seasick or someone developing RSI or just a big disparity in ability in a group. Those days we have to work hard for your money. Those are the days you learn the most. And the self-reflection afterwards is a really important part of the process. Taking the time to unpick the day and think about how you can do things better is an important part of developing as an instructor for me.
Okay,
yeah.
So in relation to those experiences, you talked about reflection. So within each of those optimal experiences or those things you're going through, when do you think most of your learning actually occurs? At what stage of the experience?
I think there's some stuff that absolutely happens at the time, but I think there's an equal amount of it happens at that after stage where you just reflect back over the trip and think about how you could have done things differently in hindsight. I think there's I don't know if I just put a percentage on it, Dan, but I mean, there's certainly some stuff you just learn at the time and slot away, but there's other stuff that I think only really comes out when you sit down and think, how could I have done that better? Because otherwise you can just gloss over things and not really learn what you're meant to learn.
So you talked about a particular, time of your career when you were talking about training, going out in lots of high winds and sort of big swell, or even back to the original experience you talked about when you were caught in the squalls on the lake. Are you able to reflect differently on single moments as you progress through your career, or does reflection just happen straight after and that's it? Do you know what I mean? Because you've reflected on that moment on the lake today after much experience. Is it an episode that you continually look back to and take different learnings from?
No, I think I learn what I can from that thing and then apply it to the next episode. There's sometimes you might read something and go, oh yeah, I wish I'd known that. So you read a book or something and discover, that would have been a good way to have managed that situation. So I still draw connections to things from the past if I find a new tool in the future that could solve something that's obviously nagging in my brain.
Yeah, great. I'm going to run back as well. So you mentioned that you are, as well as obviously now being a sea kayak guide, you're also rock climbing coach and a mountaineer and whitewater paddler. Do you think that there is any link between those different disciplines and the skills and things you learn that you bring in to sea kayaking, into your capacity as a sea kayak guide, or not?
Yeah, the main one I think is just the